I'm sorry, back to where we stopped at the story where I'm talking about how I got my vision back. I was in the shower, and I was trying to encourage myself, and I was just saying some scriptures, and just really trying to, again, gather myself back up from the news that I got from the doctor saying that I might not get it back. I may not be that, the person that I was 6 months ago from that point, a year ago from that same point. So that was hard, and then it came back, and I was like, look at that. That's all I could say was, look at that. And then, of course, I'm like trying to hurry up and throw my clothes on, and then I run into my mom's room and I jump up on her. I'm like, it's back. And she's like, what's back? I was like, it's back. Look, it's back. And she was like, oh my God. Like that moment right there was, even when I think about it, it kind of lifts me back up, because something that was taken from me, that I take for granted, was taken from me in such an extreme way. Then when I got it back, I was like, we rolling, we cooking now. I'm like, whoo. I felt like a new person. I felt like, okay, I feel like I can do this thing. Tomorrow is going to be better, and the day after that is going to be better and better. It just, that optimism is what kept me going then, and what keeps me going now. I apologize for jumping around in this story, but I hope that you guys will understand, and I hope that you all can follow this story about my optic neuritis. And I'm telling the story about optic neuritis because that is a telltale sign of active multiple sclerosis. There's 4 different types, but when you have that is a telltale sign, again, of active multiple sclerosis. After that point, then it was a matter of trying to get a doctor that was willing to help me, to treat me for something that I believe that I have. Reason being is because that same doctor, that my neurologist that gave me, the steroid and yada 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 for my optic neuritis, and I had an MRI in the midst of this as well, and the MRI showed that I have lesions all across my brain. Now, my neurologist was like, well, your migraines are bad enough to where they could leave lesions on the brain, and if you do have them bad enough, they will. But this was more, and my doctor was not willing to take another look at me to determine my, to determine what my diagnosis ended up being in the long run. What I mean by that, if you have a patient that has optic neuritis, you should, I'm not going to say you have to because I'm not a doctor, but you should, on the onset, get them checked into a hospital and do a lumbar puncture. You have to. Especially since you don't just get optic neuritis by chance. You don't trip and fall and get optic neuritis. That is a telltale sign of something else that is underlying. Something else is going on. And also, too, as a black woman who had optic neuritis, we are unfortunately more prone to having autoimmune diseases like lupus and so forth. So, and at one point in time, they did believe I had lupus, but that was quickly dismissed. But that is something that they will also check for. When my doctor did not do the lumbar puncture, despite me having MRIs and despite radiologists even mentioning in the notes saying that, she has lesions in certain key areas, and she is a candidate of someone who would possibly have multiple sclerosis. At that point in time, in my opinion, I feel like more testing should have been done, but that wasn't the path that my life was destined to take. That's the way I have to think about it that way in order for me to process and move on to the next thing. If I stay on that part, or I stay on the different things that different doctors and different nurses didn't do, and the things that I felt like should have been done, I'll never get out of that rut. I'll never get out of that emotional rut. So that in my mind, I have to think about the fact that, okay, well, my path was different. My path, it needed to go this way, so that I would get the diagnosis at the time that I was destined to get it. So, after the treatment and after I finally got my vision back, I decided to go to Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is a medical facility in my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland, and they are one of the leading facilities in the nation. So I decided to go back home, and they were gracious enough to take me in and run and when I say a multitude of tests, they had to bring me orange juice because they had taken that much blood. And I would have eaten the cookies had I not had celiac disease. I probably would have tore the whole tray up, but orange juice had to do it. And it was through that testing that they sent in for more tests, but I had to get them done in my hometown, which I live in Tennessee. But to administer the test here in my hometown, which is where my ENT came into play. I told him about everything. Once again, had that doctor, and he still rides for me to this day. I may miss an appointment every now and again, but he still rides for me to this day. And he was like, I got you. So that's how I got my third neurologist. My third neurologist, he was the one that, did more of my... He did some blood work, but he primarily did the work from the lumbar puncture. The lumbar puncture showed abnormalities all over the place, white blood cell count all over the place, you name it. It was crazy. So it was at that point that neurologist, in conjunction with the neurologist from Johns Hopkins, that came to the consensus that yes, she does have multiple sclerosis. You have to meet a lot of requirements for any type of facility to treat you for multiple sclerosis. And a few of those things are family history, which I have, like I mentioned before. My mom's sister has multiple sclerosis, so there's that. A lot of people with multiple sclerosis have a vitamin D deficiency, which I have. A lot of people with MS have issues with migraines, some type of gut issue, which in my case would be my celiac disease, and then lesions on the spine, brain, and on top of that need to have the abnormal lumbar puncture. And those are just a few. I'm sure I'm missing some, but those are kind of like the headlines of things that you look for when you officially diagnose somebody with MS. So with that being said, I finally, like I said, after the two doctors with Johns Hopkins and one of my neurologists here in Tennessee came together, they came to that same consensus. I was able to pull in my records from both institutions, and then I had to then bring those same records to my primary neurologist. This is a lot of neurologists. Primary neurologist, who is the one that treats me currently. But I I had to take that journey on my own dime. I had to pay for it. Insurance didn't cover it. And that was because deep down I knew that something was wrong. And as well as my mom, because she sees me every day, so she knows that, something was wrong. And I just had to bet on myself. I had to bet that I was right, despite these doctors telling me one thing. I had to go seek help. I had to go seek help on my own and be confident that I know that they're wrong. I know that I have to bet on me, and I know I have to find help on my own. That was scary. That was also scary because, it's kind of like if I didn't get the right or if I didn't get any answers, not necessarily the right answers, because any answer that was, of course, proven by, the tests and stuff, but any answer that I got was going to be the right answer. I just knew that there was more. So, if there is somebody there somebody that sees this video, if you're in doubt and you feel like the doctors that you're seeing are not giving you either the correct diagnosis, the full diagnosis, the proper diagnosis, take your pick. I encourage you to, of course, do your research, but bet on yourself. If you feel like deep down something is going on, something's wrong, or, your body's going through changes and the doctors are, telling you stuff that you don't feel is right, or you feel something is off, again, I encourage you to bet on yourself, because you know that something is changed or something is different in you. Maybe you may not be able to express it to the doctors that you have, or maybe the doctors that you have just don't care. And there are some doctors out there that just don't care. Trust me, I have run into them. At 27, I've been dealing with this, not necessarily MS, but different health illnesses since I was 2. That's 25 years of doctors. I know a bad doctor when I see one, and I know a good doctor when I have one. I also encourage you to step out on faith if you feel like you're not getting the help that you need. Like I said, I had to go back home. And, people go back home for different reasons. I had to go back home because I needed help. And I got the help that I needed. The doctor there, and Johns Hopkins, they have a lot of state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art doctors, they're doing things that are leaps and bounds than, other facilities either are not or just financially cannot do. I had an MRI done, sent it to them at Johns Hopkins, and they were able to find the lesion that was on my spine that nobody here in Tennessee that I've went to, and I went to 4 places, nobody found. They found the lesions on my brain because, they stick out, they light up, but the lesion that's on my spine, nobody could find it. But when I went home and got help, they found it. There are, more events and stuff that I left out just for the sake of the video and just the length of the video. I don't want the video to get too long and then people not get the message that I'm trying to send. The message in this video, again, is to share just a little bit of what I had to hopefully encourage people to bet on themselves and to step out on faith. This is just one story of my health journey. There's many more to come. All right, so that's the end of this video. That's the end of this story. I hope that it will help. Again, this is Life in the Now. My name is Gigi. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.